Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for the most popular and least listened to podcast in the world, the Sixth Sense Media Podcast, with your host, Mike Phelan.
Wendy, I thought you were navigating.
You gotta turn left.
You know, you should really make your move on her unless you want me to warm it up for you. Let's get... I'm not Patrick! I'm not Patrick! Left the door open if you didn't want any customers. Hello?
They won a surfing competition wearing street clothes?
Yeah, they don't really look happy about winning either.
Kitchen's closed.
We should just leave.
But how about a piece of my warm cherry pie?
Hey!
Sorry.
Leave that alone!
Look where we are.
Another goddamned abandoned vehicle.
4 kids disappeared right out of the middle of this road. Same as before.
Something mighty sinful in that woman's cherry pie.
They don't even like you.
We're gonna get out, somehow, I promise.
I got something special planned for you.
We're a part of a collection.
We're not staying here for 20 years.
Your punishment is transformational. My luck is changing. Should be telling people where you're going. Both full of crazies.
Speaking of indie films, Sweet Taste of Souls. How did you get associated with that production?
Yeah, I just auditioned. I didn't look. It was so funny. It was pre-pandemic, right? So still a lot of auditions are done on self-tapes. So I self-taped and then I called back on the self-tape. Then I had to meet with them on another callback, like 3 callbacks, and then I ended up shooting it. I didn't know anybody involved in that feature at all. As it turned out, the director knew me peripherally from another lifetime when I lived in San Francisco. We had some of mutual friends there, but we hadn't worked together. I hadn't worked with anybody. So the way I got it is just through the normal channels, just auditioning. And I thought they were interesting because usually when you get a call back, you just get a call back. For the first call back, the casting director wrote me a note. It was so encouraging. I'm like, okay, I'll do the callbacks. I was, it was a project that wasn't filming in LA. I knew that. It was, and at the time I was like, do I want to leave LA to go shoot a film? I had so many other things going on. I was right before I was going to start to shoot Wise of the Skies. And so I had to put that, I had to juggle everything. And I thought, well, if that casting director hadn't written me such a sweet note, I might not have done the callback on the tape. And then I was like in Germany and they called me back for the second callback. And I fortunately got back in time. And I was like, and I met with them and I'm like, oh, these are the nicest people I've ever met. I liked them so much. I wanted to work with them. So.
When you read the part, what did you think?
I thought that, here's what I thought. There were some things that weren't psychologically sound to me. So I thought the only way I can do this part is if I really play it for real, because there's a campiness which will come through. That's in that script. And I had to really cry real tears, I might be crying when other people are laughing. I don't know, but I knew that I had to play it as authentically as I could because there was questions for me that were things in the script that were open to interpretation. So I had to make a choice and go with it. And fortunately, it worked for me. I mean, I had a director, Terry Ross, was very cool, but I thought this is going to be an interesting shoot. I'm wondering how they're going to pull it all together. I can't say I was the absolute biggest fan of the script, but I thought there was something there, and that I could do something I wanted, interesting with it while playing it for real within this crazy world. So it was a challenge. It was very challenging.
When you have a character where you have those questions, how does the actor director relationship play into that?
Well, her and I, given the scope of the project, there was no real time to rehearse. So we had one phone meeting. And I told her, here's the stuff I need help with, blah, blah, blah. So we covered things, and we were pretty much on the same page in terms of, staying as authentic as I can to who this person was, playing her as authentic as I can. And if I had some problem with the script on this scene or that, we talked it through. But the writer was also a producer on it, and she really wanted us to stick very closely to and I understand, it's her baby, it's her vision. So we worked within that to make it work for her. And I mean, she's a wonderful person, the writer, and she's a brilliant person, actually. And so it was challenging. I just had to really work within it. I find that happens a lot, though, with films, where I might get a script and I go, I'm not sure I understand that. And I usually can have a discussion with the director, and I just have to make it work. And sometimes it doesn't always work. And sometimes they edit there's so much crap out of it that all your moments, there aren't even payoffs. You're like, oh, well, what happened to that scene? That happened in order for make that happen, So it's out of your control, because I had nothing to do with the post or anything. I was just an actor for that.
Where was it all filmed on location, or was this half and half?
Oh, no. It was all of it was in on location in Julian, California. Are you familiar with Julian?
Yep.
So it's a mountain town. And so we had this coffee shop that we used. And then production rented a great big house where we all stayed, which was like, oh my God. And we used some of it as the set. So I was like, I need my own room and I need my own bathroom, period. I can't, there's 30 people here, So every night, everybody, not me, everybody was drinking and partying all night. I'm like, how are they doing this? How? It was intense. By the time it was over, I was running out. I was like, bye. My car is packed up. I'm out of here. So I stayed there the entire 3 weeks. And it was interesting. I missed my family because that's me. And even though it was only a few hours away, nobody. Oh, that's not true. My aunt and my 2 cousins came to visit me on a day off. They did. And it was fun. And, Julian is known for their pies, which is sort of, great with the script. So I thought they did a great job in that arena, how they made it about all this pie and takes place in Julian, if anybody knows what Julian is. And the director happened to live in Julian. So it all seemed like it was meant to be for this, production. And, but yeah, everything was on location. Some people, 90% of the people came out of San Diego because it's right there. So in terms of the crew and the cast, some of the cast, like myself, lived in LA. I think all the main actors lived in LA. So,
do you see a bit of a difference in acting styles from people that come from LA versus coming from like San Francisco?
Not really. I really can't say I do. I think it's just a question of people who have, more experience or not. But some would argue that people in LA, they're very laid back. And, when they work on camera, it's like they're trying to be so like, oh, blah, 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 blah. You can't even hear them. It's like, what? And a lot of shows are that way. When you watch them, it's like, what the hell did they just say? I know I can hear. So I do feel like, perhaps there are people who think that acting on camera is acting like as naturalistically just lazy mouth LA as you can be, which isn't always life, you know. I mean, people are animated, so but I can't say that I've noticed it too much, really.
Oh,
Yeah.
what did you think about the finished product?
Of Sweet Taste of Souls.
Mm-hmm.
I have my problems with it. I'm not gonna lie. I did. I felt like there was some stuff that I liked a lot of it. Some of it came out better than I thought, and some of it, you know, I was disappointed in things that were edited out that didn't always pay off, and things that I was doing to push the story forward. So it was a mixed bag for me, but overall, I think that the writer and the director and the producer did their job overall. I really am proud of them, and I would work with them again because it was a good experience. But I think, you know, look, I'm also a filmmaker, as you know. I might do things differently. Maybe it's, but above all, it's like as an actor, like I said, you don't always have the say in what they keep and what they don't, you know. And so I was surprised that some of the coverage wasn't there, I think, for certain. Like, it upset me. Like, what about my relationship with this girl? Like, why don't you see, you know, things like that. So it was a mixed bag. But overall, I was happy for them because they were very happy with it. And I think that overall, it's done okay. I think about most people ended up liking it. One of the things is people in the horror world are very forgiving. My God. It's not like other genres. It's like they're so kind. It's like, wow, which is great. I love that. They're so loyal and they're so kind. At least always been my experience. So people were really kind to me. So I feel really grateful for that. Like, thank you.
You can't be a fan of like 70s horror without being forgiving of a lot of shortcomings.
You know, and that is the best 70s horror. Does it get better than Rosemary's Baby or The Exorcist, rather? You know, that it doesn't. But I mean, I wish there was, you know, more films made like a 70s horror movie. They're so good. They were right. The scariest.
Yeah, I think there's too much convenience now for filmmakers that they don't have that. They're not really put to the task like Tobe Hooper was in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. They don't have that, like, you need to get this done in the harshest conditions possible or else your film's not going to get distributed.
Yeah, exactly. And also, I think that before they relied on our minds to create the horror more than we see now. I mean, there's always going to be like the gory gore fests, you know, which have a place. But things like, to me, like A Clockwork Orange, that was one of the scariest movies I saw in my entire, of course I didn't see it till later, but I was like, wow, this is a frightening film. All the horrors in your brain, you know, they don't show it. And that's the kind of horror I love. And they did that more back then than they do now, I think. Now it's just too easy to show the gore. But
yeah, I don't think, maybe filmmakers don't like to let a scene linger anymore, or let the actor be the scenery, more or less, without actually having to talk. Because Malcolm McDowell is terrifying as Alex. He's very charming, but at the same time, he's devastatingly awful. But if
the worst,
but if you don't let him be the canvas, I don't think Kubrick would have gotten anything good out of him. I think he would have just been a guy with a posh accent, just kind of being violent and being a dick.
You know, that's true. And that kind of, having that kind of pacing and patience to show that as a director would make you a very good director, because a lot of people, they don't have that kind of sensibility anymore. And so I think I know what you're saying, and I think that some of the best acting, you know, that we've seen, or best performances, or even most feared performances in the horror genre, was because of that kind of pacing, or we got to project all our fears onto that, you know. Yeah, I think I don't know, it's just a different world now. But I'll tell you, if I make a horror movie ever, if I direct one or even end up uh, writing one, I did write one, but write one that I'm going to make, then I think I would try to do it as close to a 70s one as possible. Just use that genre because it's the most, yeah, they're the best. They really are.
Yeah, you don't need to go overboard with gore. You don't even need an A-list cast.
Huh. Just have to story. It's all about story. And like you said, really just and the sound. I mean, look at Freakin' with his sound on that Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know he did all the sound himself.
Yep.
He's a genius. But yeah, that's what you need. You got to really create the environment for fear.
What other projects do you have coming up?
I have this film that's coming out called Layla. I don't have a huge part in it, but I have a very pivotal role in it. And the director is Gordon Cowie. He's known for doing music videos.
Mm-hmm.
Very visual. And this guy made the most beautiful movie on a lower budget. It had a budget, but lower budget. And it was gorgeous. I'm so impressed with his work. He's like somebody to really watch for. And then, of course, I worked with, Paul McCarthy,
Mm-hmm.
the artist. And I've done like 6 films for him. And so we have some coming out that are in post. And so that's happening. Now, these are the 2 films that are, well, at least one, maybe more than one Paul McCarthy film's coming out, but certainly at least one. And it's a takeoff on Night Porter. It's like a deconstructed Night Porter, so it's a World War II. It's really, really disturbing. And other than that, I'm hosting this YouTube channel I told you about, and it takes like these old 1980s commercials, which is kind of fun, and promos. It's kind of a pip, and that's kind of fun. And I'm in process of writing with a gentleman named John Nickham. He's out of Kansas City, and we're going to be doing a Western after the pandemic when it's safe. And I'll be directing, so it'll be like a feature, like a pulp Western, which is insane. I never thought I'd get to direct a Western. So
You could get away with just having the bandanas on everybody. Everybody's a desperado.
True, everybody's a desperado with a little mask. But yeah, so it's a period piece. So it's real pulp. It's going to be really fun to do. And the gentleman, Davey Robertson, who shot Wives of the Sky, is going to shoot it for me. So I'm excited for that because he's so talented.
Wives of the Sky had great framing and great color.
Yeah, he did a beautiful job, I must say. He really did. He's a director himself, actually, and that's how I met him. He hired me like on some TV show years ago, and we worked together several times. And I'm like, he's so talented. So now we're like best friends. So that's good. And I wrote a script that he wants to direct, so we'll see if that happens after the pandemic as well. So we'll see. It's so hard to know how things are going to zig and zag,
People want things to get back to normal, so that's probably going to be the push for things getting back to normal, because we need art, we need cinema, we need each other. There's no way we're going to survive without getting things back to semi-normalcy.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's a nightmare when you think about it. Sometimes I stop and go, "Is this real? Am I dreaming all this?" It's just a bad dream where I can't go outside because someone will cough on me and I'll die. But this also has been a really interesting time. I wrote a novel that I started before the pandemic, and I finished it, and I'm just going through my 4th draft of it. You know how that is. It's just about done. I have like 60 pages. So I'm going to release that in about 2 months. And that'll be a whole new thing for me because I never thought I'd write a novel. That was never my goal in life. So I did it. I was like, well, would I have finished this if it wasn't for the pandemic? No way. Never.
Are you going through a publisher or are you going to self-publish?
I have 2 publishers who want to read the manuscript, but I'll probably end up self-publishing it. And then if it gets picked up by a publisher, that's fine. It's so different than movies. Where like you release your own film, you kind of, that's it. If you, with books, you can self-publish and then get picked up. So it's like the opposite. I had no idea. I'm like, really? I didn't know how that worked. So we'll see. I'm not sure. I think for at least one of these 2 people who want to see it, I'm a good fit. The other one, I'm not sure that I am, but happy to have them read it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. I could be wrong, but yeah. So we'll see. It'll be fun. It'll be a new experience, that's for sure.
You've been listening to the Sixth Sense Media Podcast. You can find more of our celebrity interviews and roundtable discussions on iTunes, Podbean, and SoundCloud. Be sure to check out our movie, TV, and video game coverage at sixthsense.com and fanbolt.com.